I want to say all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule well. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Now, I want to make this video brief, and it's gonna seem like I'm causing dissension, but that's not really my intention. It's just something that came to mind. At the end of the day, I don't think this is that relevant to the truth, especially in the times that we're in. I don't necessarily think it's prudent to be divisive on certain things that are not, a major part of the doctrine. It's like you living in a house and one plug doesn't work, and you want to burn down the whole house because a plug doesn't work. It's it's not really a big deal. What I mean? You can kind of work around it. But I did hear the elder say, he was talking about Revelation 1:7, and he says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, Amen." Now, it says here, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him. And people say if you believe in the flat earth doctrine, you're a bug out, so on and so forth. And I've seen people be called bug outs, and I look at what they have to say for themselves, and I don't necessarily believe they're bugged out. Now, I may be bugged out because, I haven't been doing my 3 videos a week and so on and so forth. Not been going on the highways and byways like I used to. I wouldn't necessarily say I was in a chief place of concord when I was doing so. I was in a park and I was having Edomites stand behind me and watch me and laugh. So I have all respect to the brothers who are going out there preaching the word. But at the same time, it says here in Acts 17:11, these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. So when we hear things, we're not necessarily supposed to take it. We're not supposed to take it, not even necessarily. We're not supposed to take it on face value. We're supposed to research and search the scriptures to prove these things for ourselves and to understand firsthand. It's one thing to go somewhere and see a hole in the ground and know there's a hole in the ground, and then go and tell somebody, don't go that way, there's a hole in the ground. It's just your word. Unless he sees it for himself, there's always going to be that doubt in his mind, because he's not necessarily experienced that himself. Sometimes you need to learn by first-hand experience. That's why they say you don't think, you feel. Because experience is the best teacher. Yes, a wise man can learn from another man's mistakes, but sometimes it's better to understand from a first-hand perspective. Hence why we're going through all of this stuff, because Israel's meant to rule, and you wouldn't have known the difference between good and evil if you didn't experience it yourself to understand how not to rule, and how to rule. So how the Most High sets things up, he's a perfect teacher, so he knows when it's best for you to learn by somebody else's mistake, and he knows when it's best for you to learn through first-hand experience. I don't need to be shot to know it hurts. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's certain things you need to go through yourself to understand. If I didn't have a woman, if I didn't deal with women, I wouldn't know what that women were the way they were. A lot of men put women on pedestals because they've never really been with a woman, so they watch all these programs and they learn from second-hand experience, and they mouth off, and they've not really experienced women and been with a woman to know how women really are. So that's one example. And it says every eye shall see him. That scripture, on in my opinion, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please prove me wrong. I'm not trying to cause dissension. I'm not trying to cause arguments. I don't have time to be arguing with dudes. If I'm a bug out, so be it. It's the Lord's will. But this is how the ancient Hebrew concept of the universe was, which was the firmament, so on and so forth. And it only possible for all eyes to see him if the whole world was on one plane. Now, people will say in Isaiah 40:22, and this is what was shown up when I did a search. It means that this proves the world is in fact a globe and is round. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Now, to say sitteth upon the circle that is earth, you know, in the so-called flat earth theory, you know, you can see here that the earth is round, is circular. You know, it just so happens that the surface is flat, but the diameter of it is circular. So I don't necessarily believe that this proves that the earth is round. And you have all these other so-called scriptures that are meant to support the idea, which is, you know, the globe, the foundation for evolution, the Big Bang, atheism, alien seed, and paganism, the occult New World Order, and satanic world control, which is the I believe it's called the heliocentric paradigm, or the heliocentric idea that the Earth is round, so on and so forth. And the flat Earth described in the Bible validates the Bible, scientifically proven, points to Yahweh alone as creator, and blows Satan's deceptions wide open. Now, I don't want to argue with this. I don't think it's that much of a big deal, you know. But, and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to cause an issue, but it's like, if you say you have 100% truth and you've been proved wrong on certain things, I don't necessarily believe you have 100% truth. Now, I'll be the first one to say I believe GMS has more truth than any other camp, and I believe they're more austere and they're more sincere than any other camp. But I wouldn't go as far to say they have 100% truth. You know, I don't believe any man understands it. You know, if we had 100% truth, we wouldn't need Yahweh Shai to come back and sort all of this out, because we'd have truth. You know, we'd have all the truth, and we wouldn't need him, you know, or we wouldn't need Yahweh to come and sort out this mess, because, you know, this world is full of lies. And if you had 100% truth, you wouldn't need anyone to dispel the lie, because your truth would dispel everything. You know, there wouldn't be any holes in any doctrine or anything that you had to say, you know. But if you say, this is just for example, you know, I'm not throwing shade, I've got the most respect for, you know, to heart, otherwise I wouldn't, you know, give double honors to them, you know. But the whole idea was the world was meant to end in 1999, and it didn't. So if you've got that wrong, you can't necessarily say you have 100% truth. Now, again, I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just saying, you know, how can you say the whole world can see him if, you know, you're going by the heliocentric idea of the world being round? Because if the spaceship, say, was to be over here, all these people at this end wouldn't see Yahweh coming in the clouds, you know. It only makes sense if it was a flat plane, you know. If the say the fathership was to come from this side, every eye would see him. And this support, if you actually research into flat earth rather than calling people bugouts, because I used to think people who believed in the flat earth theory were bugged out. If you do some research on it, it stands up to logic. You know, you can't say Esau has never been to the moon, but he has all these satellites up in space that are so-called transmitting all these frequencies, so on and so forth, you know. And again, in First Thessalonians 5:21, it says, "Prove all things, hold fast that which is good." You know, abstain from all appearance of evil. Now, I'm not trying to be evil by you know, drawing attention to these things. I'm just saying, you know, we should be more humble. You know, because when you're saying you have 100% truth, and you know for 100% that you're right in everything that you say, you know, you're not leaving any room for error. You know, you're basically saying you know everything, and I don't believe any one man knows everything. You know, I believe, just like we've all been given a portion of the Spirit, I believe we've all been given portions of knowledge. You know, and if we pull that knowledge together, then collectively you might have 100% truth. You know, but I don't believe any one person has 100% truth. You know, I don't believe the Most High works like that, because how else would you teach somebody humility if you gave all knowledge to one person, or you know, or you concentrate all truth in one aspect? But, you know, again, I may be bugged out because I'm not going on our highways and byways. You know, again, I have all respect to all the brothers, because they're standing firm, you know. But to me, that doesn't necessarily go with how the Most High has set things up. It doesn't logically make sense. You know, this is Second Timothy 2:15. Studies to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So I could look at certain people. I've watched different. I only really watch GMS. I'll be honest. But when I first came into truth, I was watching other camps. Adam Abbott. Didn't really get into GCC. It just seemed like Christianity on steroids. It just seemed like a whole bunch of stuff. And when you see these other teachers that these guys go into and break down, their so-called doctrine, I completely agree with it. It's just one or two things I don't necessarily agree. Even I've seen people who believe in flat Earth who don't believe that the Sabbath is based on, the signs of the celestial bodies, which I believe the Most High set up to discern the times. So I'd like to think I can listen to somebody and see whether or not it makes sense. And yeah, I get it wrong. Sometimes I get it wrong, because I was celebrating Saturday Sabbath for at least a whole year before I got into the celestial bodies, which obviously the Most High has set up for signs and times. Even you're supposed to pray to the east, and we all know the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. So if you want to pray to Yahweh, all you got to do is face where the sun is rising from, or you look where the sun is setting and you face the opposite way and you pray to Yahweh. So he set these things up for us to understand, and if you look at certain things like perspective, because I was into all of that, when I was in the world, which is design, artistry, so on and so forth. If you look at how perspective is set up, it doesn't support, a globe doctrine. A perspective and all that stuff really works on a flat plane. Again, I'm not saying the earth is round, I'm not saying it's flat, I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense to say, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. If the world, is shaped in a sphere, it's spherical. I don't even know the appropriate word for it, but you say like this, if the fathership came over this side, everybody over here would not see him, so all eyes wouldn't see him. It only makes sense, if the world was set up in, how the ancients described it. Because if you do read the scriptures and you search it properly, it does more point towards a flat, a plane, than it does a spherical shape, if that's a word. I believe it points more to this kind of design than any other design. And all those scriptures that we read regarding it being circle, I mean the landmass of it could be a sphere, but just because it says circle doesn't necessarily mean that is a globe. I believe people are reaching with that. Now again, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, admonish me for it, and correct me, because I'm not going to take correction in the wrong way. And again, I have all respect to the elders, but I've seen elders make mistakes, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're not where we're supposed to be. So you're gonna have a few things where you're going off, and I just truly I'm just posing a question, really and truly. It's just something to really think over. Again, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. So I'm gonna hold fast to the vast amount of the doctrine that they come with, because I do truly believe in my heart that they have their heart in the right place. But again, we're all humans, we all make mistakes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to say all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule well, and shalom to the hopefully elect.